So here it is, it's our Vancouver Canucks goaltending update. Now here is the thing. This can change, really quickly in fact. All it takes is a phone call, all it takes is a conversation, all it takes is one pen to the dotted line, and all of a sudden this video doesn't really mean anything. But for now, I wanted to go out there and talk about some of the goaltending options that the Vancouver Canucks have, and just some names that have been floating around there. People have been writing about these names and talking about them, so I thought it would be interesting to talk about them in a video here too. So if you haven't been taking a look at the scoop, Vancouver's in a pretty rough spot goaltending-wise, because number one starter Thatcher Demko projects to potentially not being available at the start of the 24-25 season. This is really concerning when you consider the fact that people thought that he'd be able to play in Vancouver's third-round potential matchup had they made the third round and beat the Oilers in Game 7. The entire update was, yeah, Demko will be okay. By the start of round 3, he'll be able to play against Dallas, and the rest will be history. The Canucks did not win, though, in Game 7 against Edmonton. They actually choked away a 3-2 series lead. They didn't have themselves the opportunity to actually see if Demko was okay. But now it's August, and rumors are coming out saying that Demko may or may not have actually had a surgery, and it is very unlikely now at this point that he will be available to play for the Vancouver Canucks in training camp and in preseason games. This conclusion has even bled into the start of the regular season, so Artur Silovs, come on down, baby. Jiri Patera, come on down, baby. However, the Vancouver Canucks have been noted by some insiders to be on the hunt for a goaltender to help them out in this strange predicament. So let's talk about the names that have been linked to Vancouver. Let's talk about some of the other names that have been tossed out there too. The first one that Rick Dhaliwal was going out there and discussing, we had talked about him in yesterday's video too, but Kevin Lankinen, former Nashville Predators guy, is a player apparently the Canucks have interest in. 29 years old, 6'2", 185, left-handed catching goaltender. Lankinen is a pretty interesting name because he has been kind of all over the place the past few years. He went over to Chicago from the Finnish Liga, was pretty okay in their AHL system, eventually found himself as a main guy on the team, was never really too great though in terms of his NHL numbers with Chicago, although you could definitely say, hey, it's Chicago, they're not really good, so it's not like they're playing with the best defense core out there. However, Lankinen then went over to Nashville. He looked pretty good in that system, .916 save percentage in 19 games in 22-23, and a .908 save percentage in 2023-2024 and 24 games played. He's fine. Pretty good goaltender. His age isn't a problem, and so this is one of these guys that if the Canucks wanted to bring him on only for a year or two, just have him as an extra option because it'll be Silovs and Lankinen. It makes sense here. Obviously, you'd have to think about the dollar amounts, but with the Vancouver Canucks being so adamant that they want to start out the season away from the LTIR, they don't want to have to use that Tucker Poolman space, it does make things a little bit difficult when you consider that Kevin Lankinen was like a $2 million goaltender in the past. So that might be a little bit of an obstacle here, but hey, unforeseen things are going to have to happen when you consider the Thatcher Demko injury being dragged out as far as this has been. So Lankinen is the main dude. We had talked about him in a video already, but what I wanted to do is go over onto the score.com because there are two other names that were discussed here by Kayla Douglas as potential options. I thought these were interesting as well, so let's go out there and take a look at this article. Report, Demko not expected to be ready for training camp. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this yourself. The article goes out there and talks about Kevin Lankinen, how he carried a $2 million cap hit in 23-24, etc., etc., etc. However, Kayla Douglas, the writer here, goes out there and says at the bottom that Antti Raanta and Martin Jones are also available on the free agent market. Now, of course, they're not saying necessarily, oh, the Canucks want these guys. They're just saying there are two other names that are on the market in Raanta and Jones. So what I wanted to do was go out there and talk about each of these two guys, because when it comes to Antti Raanta, he's in a totally different spot compared to Kevin Lankinen. Raanta is 35 years old, 6 feet, 194 left-handed catching goaltender. We all remember the last time the Vancouver Canucks had an older, shorter goaltender as their main guy. They had Yaroslav Halak, and that didn't really work out all too well. Now for Raanta, he's a really strange goaltender because he had a .905 save percentage with the Arizona Coyotes in 2020-2021. Pretty nice. He had a .912 save percentage with the Hurricanes in 21-22, including a .922 save percentage in 13 games in the playoffs. Very nice. The year after, he had a .910 save percentage with the Canes, a .909 in the playoffs, pretty alright, but not the same .922. And then this previous season, he had an .872 save percentage in the Hurricane system, and an .873 save percentage with the Wolves in the AHL. Antti Raanta, for 3 years, was solid. But this previous year, things took a really bad turn, and who knows what Antti Raanta's capability is going to be heading into 2024-2025. If you sign this guy, who is 35 years old, which version of Antti Raanta are you getting? The .922 playoff clutch version of Antti Raanta? Or the .872 goaltender that was an .872 not just in the NHL, but in the AHL as well? Raanta is a lot more of a riskier option, especially since he is so old. Of course, you wouldn't sign him to a long-term deal. It would only have to be a season long. So I guess you could say there's maybe some security in that you're not going to be able to commit to him, but still, I mean, that profile, that statistical breakdown, it's really not great, so I don't know if Antti Raanta really would be a guy worth exploring for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, if you want to talk about the other option here, Martin Jones, also a fairly kind of goaltender. He's also 34 years old. From North Van, though, so you could understand that there would be a better link here. Martin Jones, I actually saw the guy last year in the Troy Stecher charity thing that was going on in Richmond. Martin Jones was there. He was really strange because he was one of the only guys that didn't really take pictures or sign any autographs on the day that I was there. He was one of the only people that just kind of exited and left by everybody, but I don't know if people really recognized him, to be honest. But Martin Jones, either way, 34 years old, 6'5", 203, so bigger dude than Antti Raanta, but still kind of old. Jones, in this previous season's worth of play, had a .902 save percentage with the Leafs and an .870 with the Marlies. He hasn't really been as good in the NHL since 2017-18. It's been a while since he had a .910 plus save percentage, and he was really good in that 2017-18 year, but of course, I mean, that was 6 years ago when he was 28. So obviously, that Martin Jones is long gone. This Martin Jones, though, if he could just provide some transitory goaltending, if you can push him to a .905 and he's able to hold that down as a backup, then I think you're probably okay with him and his performance. It's just, I mean, all the years of an .896 save percentage, he literally had an .896 save percentage 3 years in a row with the San Jose Sharks. Literally .896 in 62 games played in 2018-19, .896 in 41 games played in 2019-20, .896 in 34 games played in 2020-2021. That is crazy. And then he dropped down to an .887 with the Seattle Kraken 2 seasons later. How do you even do that? How do you get an .896 save percentage 3 years in a row? And not even around there. He gets it flat. Either way, that's a pretty tough way to evaluate a guy's performance because, yeah, it's just not a good number. But either way, he is listed as one of these options here for the Vancouver Canucks in their goaltending hunt. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Kevin Lankinen, Antti Raanta, Martin Jones. What are your thoughts on these three guys potentially being options for the Vancouver Canucks? I don't think Kayla Douglas is saying that the Canucks would want a Raanta or a Jones. She's just writing out here, yeah, they're available. They're goaltenders on the market. A lot of the other ones are already signed, so you have to really be proactive here with whom it is that you decide to give your money to if you're Vancouver. So if it is between these three guys, what are your opinions and who do you think they should go for? Of course, as we had said, one phone call changes it all, and when one of these guys signs, this entire video is going to be obsolete. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Vancouver Canucks and their goaltending search? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.